capital city of Senegal.
24 hours, 7 days a week, all year round. On 94.9 FM, this is West Africa Democracy Radio Dakar. We got you covered. We got you covered on all fronts. News, programs, special shows, and lots of all new music. From Dakar to Benin, from Nigeria to Ghana, Conakry, Bissau, Niger, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, Mauritania, Ouagadougou, Cape Verde to the Gambia. This is your radio. This is your voice. Your voice. This is West Africa Democracy Radio. And we are on air.
WADR. Promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 p.m. in Praia. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. Speaker of Ghana's parliament criticizes President Akufo-Addo's rejection of anti-LGBTQ plus bill transmission.
The implications of such executive actions extend far beyond the immediate legislative items at hand.
Nigeria's President Tinubu bans government officials from foreign travels for 3 months starting from April 1. Ahead of Sunday's presidential election in Senegal, indigents of Jaobe community said their demands for the new leadership.
Expectations are high. It depends on the money. The problem of the area is the problem as a whole.
And UNHCR says in a new report that more than 40,000 Burkinabe refugees have arrived in Mali since December. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana and Liberia. Well, let's stay in Ghana this afternoon, where the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Bagmi, has criticized President Nana Akufo-Addo's refusal to accept the transmission of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Anti-LGBTQ plus bill, which was unanimously passed by Parliament. The Speaker expressed concern over this deviation from democratic practices and emphasized the importance of cooperative governance and mutual respect among government branches. WDL's Nadia Tete Nakra reports.
Providing a detailed response to the presidency's request of Parliament not to transmit the bill to him to sign, Alban Bagbin highlighted that the refusal undermines Ghana's political system and risks establishing dangerous precedents that could weaken democratic institutions.
The behavior exhibited by the President in refusing to accept the transmission of this bill not only deviates from established democratic practices, but also undermines the spirit of cooperative governance and mutual respect for the arms of government. This is a principle that forms the cornerstone of our political system. Such actions, if left unchecked, risk setting dangerous precedents that threaten the integrity and functionality of our democratic institutions.
Bagbin also referenced previous instances where the president refused to assent critical bills, citing them as violations to the Constitution. He warned that such actions pose a serious threat to Ghana's legislative authority and erode foundational checks and balances. Bagbin stressed the importance of upholding legislative processes and constitutional mandates to maintain the integrity of the governance structure.
The implications of such executive actions extend far beyond the immediate legislative items at hand. They erode the foundational checks and balances that our forebears painstakingly established to ensure a vibrant and functioning democracy.
In retaliation to the conduct of the president, the Speaker also announced that the House would hold consideration of the president's ministerial nominations to uphold the rule of law.
In the light of this process, the House is unable to continue to consider the nominations of His Excellency the President, to use the language of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, quote, in the spirit of upholding the rule of law, until after the determination of the application for interlocutory injunction by the Supreme Court.
For WADR, Nadidi Teti, Accra.
Well, let's cross over now to Nigeria, where President Bola Tinubu has placed a temporary ban on foreign travels by public officials under the employment of the federal government starting from April 1 this year. In an official communication with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and signed by the Chief of Staff to the President Femi Gbajabiamila on Wednesday, the President noted that the decision was a result of the current economic realities in the country. Besides, the President stated that there was a need to ensure that all public officials in leadership positions focus on their core mandates for effective service delivery instead of getting distracted by such movements. The official communication is coming days after there was public outrage over the execution of a plan by the Accountant General of the Federation, Commissioners of Finance of the 36 states of the Federation, and other government officials to jet out of the country to hold a workshop in the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, Nigeria's lower house has urged the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to suspend the signing and execution of a trade partnership with the United Kingdom. This partnership would enable UK lawyers to practice within Nigeria. The motion presented by 49 lawmakers on Tuesday cited recent reports and public concerns regarding the alleged economic and trade pact between the UK and Nigeria. The partnership aims to explore opportunities in vital sectors including energy, legal and financial services. Tawfiq Abdul Nasir completes the story.
During the plenary session, the House noted with concern the recent escalation of the trade deal, particularly due to its perceived imbalance in favor of the United Kingdom. Members highlighted that the legal aspect of the agreement appeared skewed, primarily benefiting UK lawyers at the expense of qualified Nigerian lawyers. They pointed out that the deal allowed UK lawyers to practice in Nigeria's legal space while restricting Nigerian lawyers from practicing in the UK. Members of the Green Chamber expressed apprehension that if immediate action is not taken to address these concerns, Nigeria may unwittingly agree with terms and conditions unfavorable to the country and the interest of its citizens.
It is apparent that there was insufficient consultation with key stakeholders and affected interests with respect to the deal. Therefore, the House is called to resolve to urge the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to immediately halt the signing and implementation of the trade partnership with the United Kingdom until the terms and conditions governing the same are fully examined and ascertained.
We have to stop this until Nigeria is matured enough in so many aspects to go shoulder to shoulder with the superpowers.
In response to these concerns, the House mandated its Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements to conduct a thorough investigation into the matter. The committee is tasked with reporting back within 4 weeks with its findings and recommendations.
Tawfiq Abdul Nasser reporting there. In the Gambia, Attorney General and Minister of Justice Dauda A. Jallo has justified President Adama Barrow's decision to pardon capital offenders, including a murderer and rapist, citing constitutional provisions. The Justice Minister asserted that victims of these offenders were consulted and the prerogative of the Mercy Committee, advised the Gambian leader. From Banjul, WDL Sankli Janko tells us more.
Some Gambians like Musukotoba Saho, a women activist, expressed outrage over President Barrow's decision to pardon convicted rapist and a murderer in February this year.
I feel disappointed, I feel angry, I feel all sorts of emotions. What serious country pardons rapists who have sexually violated children, women? Who pardons a murderer?
President Adama Barrow faced widespread criticism for granting pardons to 7 serious offenders, including individuals on death row, as part of a group of 37 prisoners granted clemency. Among those pardoned were 2 individuals serving death sentences for murder and rape, respectively, while the remaining 5 were convicted of rape and sentenced to between 20 years and life imprisonment. However, during an oral session in Parliament on Wednesday, Attorney General and Minister of Justice Dauda A. Jallo defended the President's authority, citing provisions in the Constitution.
Honorable Speaker, Section 82 of the 1997 Constitution gives the President the power to pardon prisoners irrespective of the crimes committed.
The Attorney General further asserted that all capital offenders had served at least 10 years in prison and claimed that their victims were consulted before the pardons were granted.
For most of the offenses, yes, the Department of Social Welfare has been assigned and they report back to the committee. They've contacted the victims or the victims' families prior to release. Where we believe some of the offenses are serious, we make sure that the victims' families are consulted and this report is submitted to the committee before we advise the President.
In response, Banjul South parliamentarian Tumanjai requested the minister to provide evidence supporting these claims. Meanwhile, others argued for the amendment of the law to prevent the president from pardoning capital offenders. From Newslink West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankule Janka reporting from Banjul.
This is the countdown to the Senegal Decides 2024.
Now let's talk about the Sunday election in Senegal with 19 candidates. Among the presidential candidates is Professor Dauda Ndiaye. This doctor, little known to the Senegalese public, presents himself as the choice of change and novelty, far from Senegalese politicians. It presents a program that will touch all sectors of the nation with a particular focus on health. Well, Ogiberika brings us the profile of Professor Dauda Ndiaye.
Professor Dauda Ndiaye presents himself first and foremost as a true child of the country, having been born and raised in Pekin on the outskirts of Senegal. The doctor justifies his candidacy with a desire to bring change to Senegalese politics, far from traditional politicians. With his action movement, Professor Dauda Ndiaye is renowned for his social work, which aims to improve people's living conditions. His political coalition, Dauda 2024, presents these and other initiatives to attract voters. The doctor, who describes himself as a man of action, has a program for change far from political promises. It is a program for society that will affect all sectors with particular emphasis on health. He intends to draw on his experience as a doctor and founder of an institution dedicated to health, research and innovation.
Ogabierika profiling the candidature of Professor Dauda Ndiaye. Well, another candidate in the race is Habib Sy, a Senegalese politician born 1957, I beg your pardon. Not strange figure in the political scene, as he was several times a minister and former chief of staff to President Abdoulaye Wade. Now, for his candidacy in the 2024 presidential election, Habib Sy supports the project proposed by Ousmane Sonko's PASTEF, whose official candidate is Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Let's get a piece of this profile by Augustine Colley.
Habib Sy is a Senegalese politician born in Linguère in 1957. He has held several ministerial posts and was formerly chief of staff to President Abdoulaye Wade. As a candidate in the 2024 presidential election, Habib Sy supports the project put forward by Ousmane Sonko's PASTEF, whose official candidate is Bassirou Diomaye Faye. He aids the presidential candidate who has no ambition to become president. The former mayor of Linguère is one of three alternative candidates to Ousmane Sonko, whose candidacy was invalidated by the Constitutional Council. He has also been sponsored by PASTEF MPs. For Habib Sy, it is therefore obvious to support the official candidate of the opposition party. And in his first appearance on Journal de la Campagne, a program broadcast on RTS, the public television channel, Habib Sy uses 3 minutes of media exposure to promote the candidacy of Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who was in prison at the time. Habib says, "When Ousmane Sonko was in difficult situation, he called me and committed his biological family and his political family to me, and among them was Bassirou Diomaye Faye. In this electoral campaign context, I am obliged to protect the candidacy of Bassirou Diomaye Faye." Habib Sy was President Wade's last chief of staff when he left power in 2012. Abdoulaye Wade also appointed him Minister of State and made him head of several ministerial departments. the graduate of the Ecole National School of Administration (ENA) as Commissioner for Economic Investigations, is standing in this presidential election under the banner of his party, the Party of Hope and Modernity. And the hope for him is the Jomai President Coalition. Habi again says, I say it and I repeat it. All those who are running for power are no more experienced than I am politically in matters of administration. We, the Jomai Coalition, are in charge of the project. Hope remains here. Although he considers Abdoulaye Wade to be his mentor, Habib C has moved closer to the opposition coalition in recent years, distancing himself from his former PDS comrades. Together with Usman's uncle, Detiefa Sheikh Tijan J, Ida Mbush, and other opposition leaders, they set up the Yari Askanwi coalition.
All right, there, the profile of Habib C by Augustine Kohli. Well, now you've heard about the candidates. Let's now turn our microphone to Jaube, a town situated in the Kolda region in the southern part of the country. Now, Jaube boasts of an international market frequented by Senegalese, Gambians, Guineans, and others. Today we hear from the town's residents about the aspirations for the next Senegalese head of state in this report by David Vincent.
The presidential election campaign in Senegal continues, with youth employment according to Mamadou Camara, president of the local youth council, emerging as a primary concern for young people in Jaoube, located in the Kolda region of southern Senegal.
Expectations are high. It depends on the money. The problem of the area is the problem as a whole. It goes beyond Jaoube Kabendou itself. As long as people don't earn something up there and go home, we will never develop. That will be one of our greatest expectations. Now, the world is also made up of infrastructures. I can give the example of Jaoube Kabendou. There is nothing there. I don't want to say that there is or there isn't anything. The only gendarmerie brigade we have has been broken up. Everyone knows what happened. So I believe that the state, which will be there after the next elections, will do everything it can to rehabilitate this gendarmerie brigade.
Meanwhile, women in the community have clear expectations from the future president of the republic, including access to land, training and funding, as highlighted by Adama Diang Jallo, the first deputy mayor.
As you know, we work in all sectors, but we don't have much money. So the government must make it easier for us to access financial institutions. We are in the market gardening business, and we need our areas to be developed and fenced off against roaming animals. What's more, we are asking for substantial funding to help us develop our activities and meet our needs.
For his part, Samba Diao outlines the need for the next authorities to develop a specific program tailored to the needs of the Jaoube Kabendou commune.
The government must get involved in developing this future city. The new government and its president must draw up a program specifically for the CDAO market. The CDAO market is why Jaoube exists, but it's not just for Jaoube. It's for the whole country, all 14 regions of the country. All the other regions of the country, no fewer than 3.
Locals are advocating for the sound management of public affairs, and ensuring access to quality healthcare remains a significant concern for women in the commune.
David Vincent spotlighting the aspirations of the people of Jaoube community.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Well, let's cross over now to Mali, where the Observatory for Elections and Good Governance has appealed to the Supreme Court to reverse the decision to dissolve it. The Observatory for Elections and Good Governance released a statement indicating its appeal to the Supreme Court. The leaders of this civil group aim to resume their activities following the submission of 2 appeal letters to the administrative section of the court. The organization was dissolved by transitional authorities in December 2023 following a statement made by its president that the government deemed likely to disrupt public order. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Speaker of Ghana's parliament criticizes President Akufo-Addo's rejection of anti-LGBTQ plus bill transmission. Nigeria's President Tinubu bans government officials from foreign travels for 3 months starting from April 1. Ahead of Sunday's presidential election in Senegal, indigents of Jawi community set their demands for the new leadership. And still ahead, UNHCR says in a new report that more than 40,000 Burkinabe refugees have arrived in Mali since December. We do have the newspaper review and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Well, don't forget, we are streaming live on WADR.org, YouTube, and Facebook. Now, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, says more than 40,000 Burkinabe have arrived in Mali since last December. Others continue to arrive every day by the hundreds. According to the agency, these families are fleeing Burkina Faso at the pace of the violence, which is plaguing the country. A significant peak has been noted since the beginning of March 2024. It noted that every day, more than 500 Burkinabe have been entering Mali for more than 3 months, according to its figures. Mostly women and children, these refugees are heading to Koro on the other side of the border, and where more than 25,000 refugees have already been registered, but also to Mopti, Bandiagara, San, and other localities in central Mali. In Liberia, development partners have wrapped up a day-long discussion aimed at enhancing fiscal transparency and boosting public involvement in state governance. Fiscal transparency, crucial for effective public financial management, provides citizens with insights into government spending and tax revenue allocation. WDR's Monrovia correspondent Darlington Popper reports.
Speaking at the commencement of the dialogue, George Aki, Chief of Party at the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, emphasized that fiscal transparency is essential to fostering market confidence and ensuring sustainability.
We pledge to provide accurate, comprehensive, and timely information enabling informed public discourse and decision-making. We advocate for openness in all government transactions, ensuring that every decision is made in the public eye. We recognize the importance of clarity and well-defined roles within the governmental sector, ensuring efficiency and accountability.
Richard Ferreira, a development partner, echoed this sentiment, emphasizing that fiscal transparency catalyzes driving positive change in Liberia's development trajectory.
Fiscal openness not only safeguards public funds, but also strengthens the very fabric of society. It serves as a powerful catalyst for positive change within communities and governments alike. Countless studies have underscored its ability to empower stakeholders, ensure inclusivity in decision-making processes, and foster a climate of trust and accountability. By amplifying the voices of marginalized groups.
In a statement on behalf of Liberia, Deputy Minister for Budget Tenet Bronson reaffirmed the country's commitment to collaborating with its partners and citizens to enhance fiscal transparency.
We have also formally subscribed to the principles of open governance and have joined different networks, including the Open Government Partnership, the International Budget Partnership, and most recently in 2022, the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency.
The government has pledged to launch a comprehensive awareness campaign nationwide to ensure that citizens are well informed about the government's operation. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Darlington Pokwa in Monrovia.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
All right, let's now join Nadia today in Accra for the newspaper review.
Greetings from Accra, and you're welcome to the newspaper review segment. Let's find out what the dailies are reporting in Ghana today. We'll start off with our major newspaper, the Daily Graphic newspaper. The front page, ex gratia, unfair and unjust, scrap Article 71. That's according to participants in the stakeholder conference on the emoluments and privileges of Article 71 office holders. These participants were drawn from state and non-state institutions and groups such as the Trades Union Congress, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the Ghana Medical Association, among others. Other headlines on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper: $45 million pharmaceutical products locked up at the ports. Teacher unions strike over conditions of service. And Ghana tops all at WAEC Excellence Awards. That's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. Let me take you to the Daily Post newspaper. Front page, boots for boots. Speaker retaliates, suspends the approval of Akufo-Addo's new ministers. Also on the front page, minority in parliament demands police report on 7 missing EC biometric verification machines. Well, the EC says it's not their BVDs that are missing, it's rather 7 laptops. Other stories on the front page of the Daily Post newspaper: 3 teacher unions declare nationwide strike over unresolved grievances. Also here, Momo agents threaten strike over GRA's double taxation on e-levy. And the final headline here: there is no sector of this country today that is better than it was in 2016 when NDC handed power over to the NPP. That's according to the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sami Jemfi. Let me now take you to the Daily Guide newspaper. Front page, Bagbane's showdown. Parliament would approve ministers. That's in response to the President's letter to Parliament, which the Speaker has described as contemptuous. Also on the front page, Chamber of Commerce endorses Baumia's private sector growth policy. Another story here, Professor Bennett Killer jailed 30 years. Still on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper, election 2024, all 75,000 biometric devices intact according to the EC. That'll be it for the Daily Guide newspaper. Let me now take you to another guide, the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Front page, Baumia promises tax amnesty to businesses and individuals from 2025. Also here, Baumia's tax digitalization agenda progressive. That's according to a group, GCCI. Now to the Chronicle newspaper. Front page, MPs livid with Finance Ministry over 6 billion Ghana cedis common fund arrears. Also other stories here, Safe Water Network, others invest $20 million in the water sector. And Baumia, I insist businesses will have tax amnesty in 2025. Also on the front page, Akufo-Addo launches Ghana Smart Schools project on Monday. So that's it for the dailies here in Accra with me, Na Didi Tete. That's it for the newspaper review segment. It's back to you in the studio.
And here is Sport News with Sankuli Janko.
Hello there, warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Liberia and Eswatini took commanding leads in their respective Total Energies CAF Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 preliminary round ties after claiming impressive away victories on Wednesday. According to CAF official website, Liberia captain Murphy Dolly scored one of 2 first-half goals as the Lone Stars defeated host Djibouti 2-0 in the opening leg in Marrakesh. Mohamed Sangare broke the deadlock from the penalty spot on 23 minutes before Dolly Kuli slotted home Sebastian Teklas cross 12 minutes later. Eswatini were also celebrating after demolishing Somalia 3-0 in the Moroccan city of El Jadida to put one foot in the group stage qualifiers. The opening leg victories give Liberia and Eswatini a huge advantage heading into the second legs as they target a place in the group stage on the road to next year's finals in Morocco. Elsewhere, the 3 African nations set to represent the continent at this year's Paris 2024 Olympics have known their opponents after the official draw was conducted in Paris on Wednesday. Reigning champions of the CAF Under-23 Africa Cup of Nations, Morocco, were paired in Group B alongside Argentina, Ukraine, as well as an Asian nation that will finish third at the Asian Cup. Runners-up at the CAF Under-23 AFCON, Egypt are drawn in Group C, together with Spain, Dominican Republic, as well as runners-up of the Asian Cup. And bronze medalist Mali make up a Group D that consists of Asian Cup champions Paraguay, as well as Israel, as reported by CAF. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Maodo Ju for the technical assistance. Let's keep the conversation coming on all of our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a repeat broadcast of our environment program, Enviroscope. I am Emo Edit. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for